Olá, como estás? Olá, como é que estás? Olá, como estás tu? Olá, como tu estás? One of these is not correct. Do you know which one? Continue watching this video and you'll find out. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mia and I'm a qualified Portuguese teacher. I post about Portuguese and Portugal every week here on my YouTube channel. So if you're interested in the topic, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you receive a notification every time I post a new video. So today I'm gonna tell you how to ask questions in Portuguese. More specifically, I'm gonna tell you about the use of the é que in European Portuguese. You might have asked yourself, what does that é que mean in the question? The truth is, it is very hard to translate. Let's see, if we were to try to literally translate the sentence onde é que tu estás, we would have to say it like it's something like, where is it that you are? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So it's really hard to translate it, but this is really the closest I can get to successfully translate it. The truth is, it does not have a meaning on itself, so it's kind of just there. But why is it there? So first of all, you can see it in all WH questions in Portuguese. That means you can have it with questions starting with quem, o que, quando, quanto, onde, and all the others. So check out the following examples. Onde é que tu vais? Quem é que te telefonou? Quanto é que estas bananas custam? O que é que ele disse? So why saying it like this when you could simply skip the é que? Or could we? The truth is, we just use it so that we don't have to invert the sentence's normal order. The normal order of a sentence in Portuguese is subject, verb, object. You can see this by the sentence tu comes arroz. First things first, you have to know that the subject in Portuguese can be present or overt, or it can be hidden or implicit. This means that when the subject is clear due to the context of the conversation or the visual cues, we can actually hide it. So the sentence we saw before could also simply be comes arroz if the context or the situation would make it clear to whom we were speaking. So now that you know that, let's go back to the WH questions like when, where, that was the ones I was talking about, quando, como, etc. So if you don't have é que, you will have to invert the order of the question when you have an overt subject in the sentence. By having an overt subject in the sentence, I mean having one of the subject pronouns explicitly in the sentence, like eu, tu, ele, nós, vocês, eles, or the actual subject like a Maria or as bananas or o arroz in the case of the sentence above. So as I was explaining before, when we have a WH question without the é que and with an overt subject, I will have to invert the natural order of the sentence to verb, subject, object if I'm not using this é que. So, for example, if I wanted to ask, how do you eat potatoes? Weird question, I know, but hey, could happen. So you would have to say, como comes tu batatas? And never ever could I say, como tu comes batatas? That's just wrong. But changing the order is a little bit troublesome for speakers. Like, in fact, users of the language try to spare energy and effort as much as possible when speaking. So we rather do one of two things. When possible, we hide the subject, as in, como comes batatas? It is still there, right, the subject, but it is implicit or hidden. Again, we can only do this if it's completely obvious who or what the subject is from context or from the conversation we had before, okay? Or even from visual cues, if we're looking at a person we're speaking to. If that's not the case, then we opt for the second solution, which is adding this language aid é que, which for some reason allows the rest of the sentence not to be inverted, like this. Como é que tu comes batatas? Como é que tu comes batatas? As you see, we have the WH question, then é que, and then the normal Portuguese sentence order, subject, verb, object. Now, sometimes it seems like we insert the é que for no apparent reason. And this might seem to go against the before mentioned argument that users of a language try to spare energy as much as possible. The fact is, we sometimes insert this é que in questions even if we would not need to, because we also hide the subject, as it is implicit about who or what we are talking to or we are talking about. For example, como é que comes batatas? Como é que comes batatas? As you see, we added é que, but there isn't an overt subject, so this é que wouldn't be necessary. And the only explanation I can give for this out of the top of my head is that this actually does not cost us more energy or effort because we don't need to think long about it, as having é que in a WH question is always acceptable in European Portuguese, while in some cases not having it is not. Therefore, we just use it as a general rule, and that spares us the time and effort to think about whether we should use it or not. Now, you must be thinking, great, then I'll just use it always and voila, problem solved. Well, while this is what I normally advise my students to do, always use it and then you know you'll be all right. The truth is that when you want to speak Portuguese in a more advanced way, and when you want to have a very formal conversation, then you would probably not use it, okay? You would opt for the inversion instead. And this is even more for the B2 to C2 level students. So let's say you're having an interview and you would like to ask how many hours you're going to work. You would probably go for the inversion, or you would just hide the subject, because you want to sound more eloquent and smart. And you would then say, for example, quantas horas por semana irei eu trabalhar? So there's no é que, and we inverted the order of the sentence. So to sum up, here are the hard facts of what you can and cannot do. Onde comes arroz? That's right. Onde é que tu comes arroz? That's also right. Onde é que comes arroz? That's right. Onde comes tu arroz? That's also right. Onde tu comes arroz? Wrong. That's super wrong. Don't do it. All right, that's wrong. So don't do it. Get the picture? And I know for someone who wants to save some energy while using the language, we have a lot of different ways to ask the same thing. But hey, I didn't make the rules, right? So I just want to add one last thing before I go. The last option up there, like the last option from those options I gave you, where I say it is wrong, this is just wrong in European Portuguese, this onde tu comes arroz, because this is actually accepted in Brazilian Portuguese. So if you come across something like this, know that either you are in low quality European Portuguese page or newspaper, etc., or you came across something in Brazilian Portuguese, all right? Also, make sure to check out my all-in-one Portuguese course, I'll leave the link below, where I explain this and many other topics in more detail. Let me know in the comment section below which of the questions from the beginning is the one that is wrong and which ones are right. The questions were: Olá, como estás? Olá, como é que estás? Olá, como estás tu? Olá, como tu estás? Let me know in the comments below which one is wrong and which ones are right. Also, leave me a like and subscribe to my channel because that will help me a lot. And that's it. I send you big beijinhos and see you in the next video. Mwah!